Greetings, kings and queens. Welcome to another episode of The Royal Corner. As you can tell, today I'm super delighted because of my guest today. Now, before I give away her name, I'm going to read a few things because for the very first time, I'm being forced to read because she has a whole lot of accolades behind her. She's an international star, a songwriter, a philanthropist and humanitarian, a businesswoman, a mother. She's been named one of the top 100 heroes of South Africa by the Star newspaper. She's the first African woman to receive the World Economic Forum's Crystal Award. She's also been awarded the Order of the Ikamanga in silver, the highest honor for an artist in South Africa. Now, these are just some of the accolades that she possesses, and I'm so delighted and excited to reveal that today I am sitting with the Princess of Africa, Mom Yvonne Chaka Chaka. Welcome, Mama.
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. I am so excited. You know, when I was thinking about this particular conversation, because at the Royal Corner, we are ordinary people with extraordinary stories. And when I thought about this particular episode, I thought it would be fitting to have you on as the Princess of Africa on the Royal Corner in time for Mother's Day. So I'm very delighted and excited to have you here. So I will be calling you Mum if you don't mind.
That's what I love. That's what I am, anyway.
Exactly. Mother of the nation. I know you've just turned 60.
Yes.
A happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
60 feels good. And I know the higher you go, the colder it becomes. But I think it's the great floor to be at.
Sure. Wow. 60 golden years. I hope many of us will get an opportunity to get there because I think it's a blessing.
You know, I guess when you're younger, you think somebody who's 40 is old. And when you turn 20 and you see somebody who's 50, you think they're old. And you get to 40, you get to 50, and you get to 60. It's, I think it's just, age is just a number. It's how you conduct yourself, how you feel. Obviously, I can't run as fast as I used to. I can still do my skipping ropes, and jump. But standing, it's a bit not that easy anymore.
Yeah.
But I just guess, life is not, it's not a given. It's like God is granting you more days to live and to appreciate. That's how I take it. Somebody else can take it the other way around.
Yeah. And to make an impact. I know you're very much passionate about making an impact in this world.
Well, I'm not sure about, people ask about legacies and impacts. And for me, it's being there, it's showing up for others when you can. So that's what I try and do. You can't be everything to everybody, but just a handful that you help, just a handful that you show up for. That's what makes a difference in somebody's life and your life as well.
Yeah.
Because I think you feel good as well if somebody is needy and you were there for them. That's how I perceive life to be.
Sure. That's beautiful. That's actually quite a pearl of wisdom. I'm taking a mental note and I'll go back to it once I listen to the recording. And, with you being 60 years old this year, I've seen that you've also been 40 years in the industry, which is a very long time. A very long time. How have you managed to stay in the industry and really stay? I always think of, when your name comes up, there isn't a single wedding that I go to where your music doesn't come up, or at least I've been to. And I look at some of the work that you've done and I'm just thinking, what an incredible woman, with the amount of things that you have decided to participate in and seemingly doing them so well. So with the 40 years itself, what have been some of the challenges in terms of, I guess, finding balance, if there's such a thing?
Well, I have always known, but thought, that's not going to happen. It's too far. When you're young, you count. 2020, I'll be 55. 2025, I'll be 60.
Yeah.
And for me, I always say life is for the living.
Ooh.
And it has always been such a good feeling to know that you've been granted an opportunity to live and to make an impact in your life and those around you. And you look back and you say, whatever mistakes I've made or whatever hurdles I've gone through, I've managed, to go over them. Because life is always challenging. There's absolutely no recipe for life or for anything really, whether it's business or being a mother or being a wife. There's no recipe. Nobody gives you a recipe to say, now you're going to be a wife. This is how you have to do things. You're going to be a mother. Here's the recipe of being a mother. You look at where you come from, how you were raised, how things were done. And obviously, I was raised by a single parent. My father died when I was 11. And my mother was a domestic worker. And today, as a 60-year-old, I look back and I say, I should be grateful to this woman. As much as I thought she was hard and very strict, she was guarding us, my two sisters and me.
Yeah.
Refilwe and Doreen. She was very strict, but she was guarding us and protecting us. Because 5 o'clock was the cut-off time to come back home.
Sure.
Whether it was winter or summer.
Yeah.
If you are home after 5, you sure know that you're going to sleep, go boxing yamalata.
She wasn't playing.
Or go toilet.
Yeah.
You would not be at home after 5. And you ask yourself, why not? And I look back and I think, okay, she was too strict. But those are the things she instilled in us. And I'm grateful to her, for the woman that I am today.
Yeah.
Because I know when to say yes and when to say no. And so fast forward, getting into the music industry, I was meant to study law. And that didn't happen. I wanted to be a chartered accountant because I love numbers. When I found myself in this industry, my mother was never pleased. She was never happy. And she insisted that I go to school and get some kind of education. So whilst I was singing, I had to go and study. I did my speech and drama and my public speaking through Trinity College of London. I did my adult education. I did my business management. And I did local government management and administration at UNISA. And fast forward 3 years ago, I thought, let me go into my honours. So I've just finished my PG Dip.
Really?
With Henley Business School, and I'm supposed to be doing my MBA now.
Yeah.
But I'm old to study.
No, you're not.
But I'm just so grateful that the things that I learned and, doing my AI, it was quite challenging. But working with young people and having amazing lecturers who understand that we're old people, people in the business, they were very forthcoming with their knowledge and just trying to help. Studying is not very easy. I hate academic writing. I hate research and all of those. But you know what? When you want to expand your horizon, you don't limit yourself. You go in there and say, I want to do it. And I think it is coupled with you wanting to be teachable. People think they know it all. It's not easy to be teachable. But when you accept your vulnerability and accept that there are those who know better than you, and I am here to accept the knowledge and be teachable, things become very easy.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. As I was listening to your response, there's so many things that just stood out for me. I think the first one that I can go back to is your mantra being life is for the living. It's insane. You won't believe it. It's my mantra too. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, with many of the decisions that I make on a day-to-day, they are informed by that. So to hear you, a woman that I look up to, with all the things that you've managed to achieve, say that, it's so refreshing and affirming. And thank you for sharing that, because I think even for people who listen to this, it will evoke and awaken something in them as well. The studying part, I relate so well. Academic writing.
Tell me about it.
Yo. People are always asking. So, because obviously, as you know, when you you've realized that you've been able to cross the line, like you said, you've done your PG dip at Henley, then you realize, oh, I can go to the next level, like an MBA. And you're saying now that you're too old for that. But I also, as young as I am, I'm like, guys, please, no more school. I'm okay.
Now I'll encourage you to go for it. You've just finished your master's.
Mom Yvonne.
And I'm very proud of you. I mean, I had younger people in class, who nudged me and encouraged me. And I'm very grateful, to people like Puseletso, Gugu, Adri, Danielle. But I think above all, it was the lecturers that we had. People like Zondre, Dr. Melanie, they were just amazing lecturers. If I have to go and do my master's, I'll do it at Henley again.
Wow.
I think the patience that they had, and just when you want to say, I'm jumping ship, it's like they encourage you to say, stay. I mean, that's the relationship that I had with them.
Yeah.
Sometimes you write an assignment and you think, this one, I've nailed it. And it comes back and it says, and you read it over and over again and you think, whew, okay, I can do better here. Yeah. But I think it's just so mind-provoking and I love it. I love to challenge myself and I love to push myself. And and I'll encourage young people to do the same as well.
Sure. And I think there's no excuse, right? There's no excuse. Look at you at your age, you decided that I'm going for it and you did it and you completed it. So when you're encouraging a young person, there's really no limitation because you were not limited by your age as well.
No, of course not. Sometimes it's like you encourage a young person to go out there and acquire as much knowledge as possible. And young people will ask you a question, why should I do it? When there are so many other people with degrees and are not working. Then you have to think twice. What is going to happen to all those people with all those degrees and they don't have work? So it goes back to our leaders to say, what do we do, to the young people? How do we encourage them not to despair? How do the leaders, okay, I'm not a leader, I'm not in government, I'm just an ordinary person, but everybody looks up to government, but obviously we also have to challenge the status quo in corporate, and say, how do you level the playing field for young people to enter that space? So these are all the things. And how do you also make sure that the environment is conducive for young people to start their own businesses? Not everybody can form or start a big conglomerate, but something very small. How do we encourage those people? How do we make sure that it's easy for them, to say, okay, even though I'm not employable, I can do business for myself, to fend for myself and my family, and start employing other people. There's too many gatekeepers. There's too many paperwork to be done. I'm not saying things must just be easy like manna from heaven. Things have to be done accordingly, but it should be very easy for young people to be able to navigate through to start their own businesses.
Sure. Yeah. And that's a very powerful point. I mean, I think often there's this notion that employment, because we've got such a high level of unemployment in our country, and like you said, these also would be graduates that are sitting at home. And so it's discouraging even to the ones that are coming behind to say, but why must I go and study? And I know one of the things that the government continuously promotes is to say, employment will come from small businesses, small to medium enterprises, but actually, how are they being equipped as well in order to be able to provide those employment opportunities? I love that you've touched on that because I think it's such an important issue. It's a very important one. In fact, because you speak about education and the importance of that, I've seen also you've done some work around teaching in the township. I want to hear a little bit more about that because I just saw it very, very briefly, which to me says if you were participating in something like that, there's a very strong passion for education that you have. So what does that look like if you are still doing it? And if it's only historical, what did it actually look like?
Well, my first diploma was speech and drama and public speaking. And because I had to please my mother, she wanted me to have an education.
Yeah.
So I guess when I failed law, because I did fail, I failed Afrikaans 3 times. I failed history 1, I failed mercantile law,
Yeah.
and I passed English. And I said to my mother, please, it's just not working. But she insisted that I go to school. So I found myself at UNISA doing adult education. So I think we're the first group that studied ABET, Adult Basic Education. And I really loved it, really. So when I did my certificate first, and then I did my higher diploma. So it was a 3-year course because I was scared just to do a degree one time, 3 years. I wasn't sure if I will finish, if I will cope, and things like that, because I was busy traveling, and performing. But when you put your mind into it, you really get determined and do something. So I also worked with an organization called Malteno that encouraged people to be, children to be literate in their mother tongue, which is something that is very important. So that's where I met Patience anyway.
Yeah.
And so we started teaching adults.
Okay.
And our first contracts, thanks to Ayanda Lodlo, with Telkom. She worked with Telkom then, and she gave us a benefit of a doubt. And we went and we were teaching adults. So I'm an adult practitioner by profession as well.
Okay.
So we'd go to Alexandra and teach those mothers and fathers, or go to different companies and teach people, to read and to write, assess them properly and place them accordingly. So for me, it was just very impactful to see that man who worked at a Telkom, Batsamayang, Bagenya Ditapo, Kostrating, there were still telephones at that time.
Yeah.
He knew his work so much, but he couldn't read and write. And when you brought them into class and you started assessing them properly and, placing them accordingly, which class they fit in. And by the end of the term, somebody can read or even write a letter. Wow. Some of them would write a letter and say, I'm writing this letter to my daughter at university.
Yeah.
Please read it for me. And that gave me such fulfillment as well. So education is something that we sometimes take it for granted, but education is in different folds, and you hear young people talking about education being decolonized because there are things that our children are not taught, about in your mainstream schools.
Yeah.
But it then goes back to us as Africans, as people. I mean, the other day I was looking at different people like Z.K. Matthews, and these people I've never heard of. And these were lawyers. These were accountants. But this is like in 1906.
Wow.
In 1922.
Yeah.
People who were leading the struggle at the time, whether they were ANC, PAC, or what, these people were educated. And you look back, fast forward, and you think, what had gone wrong? Who said Africans cannot be educated? Who said Africans were not literate? Because these people have been educated for a very, very long time.
Sure, 1906. That's a long time ago.
It is. It is.
I had no idea, actually. I've learned something new.
I mean, Meshalot Matleke, Manya, his great son happened to be my accountant, Clement Manya. She was the first graduate.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is a black woman.
Wow.
So education is not a new thing. It has always been there. People who were leading us, people who were in the forefront of fighting for our equality, had acquired so much knowledge. It's not that those things were just given to them.
Yeah.
So what makes us now, when they had fought so hard to take education for granted and not want to better ourselves?
Sure. And I think the opportunities are there.
Totally.
There are scholarships. I know we are not always in an economically advantaged position in order to actually pursue the further studies, but the opportunities are there. It's about pursuing them and sticking it out. Sure.
Absolutely. And I look up to those women and those men who went at Moroka. I mean, our history, it's sort of hidden from us. And I'll urge our young people to go down there and look at the people who wanted to be leaders at that time and fighting for equal rights. They were well educated. Yeah.
Ladies and gents, balang tu. Balang. Dibuka. Mama Yvonne is saying it. Now moving into, I guess, how you got thrust into the spotlight. It was so interesting for me to find that at the tender age of 16, that's when you were thrust into the spotlight, because from what I read, it was through a talent show.
I was 14.
You're 14?
Yeah.
Sure. And it said, when I was reading, it said that you were the youngest African child to be on TV at the
was
time.
I 14 or 16? I can't even remember. 1981.
Yeah, 1981. Whoa.
So I was 16.
What was that experience like? I mean, you were very young. If you can remember and go back to that, what was that like in a time especially where, I mean, those were apartheid times. So for you to then be thrust into the spotlight, I know it was the beginning of it, but what was that experience like as a young girl, if you can remember?
I met Bennett Joffy in 1987. I was in Washington, D.C., and we met at a restaurant. But this is the guy whom I really think he was ahead of his time. Bernard was ahead of his time. He went to Soweto and looked for children who could read, who could write, who could, storytellers, who could play instruments, who could sing. And he started that program called Sugar Shack. I'm actually not sure if it was Sugar Shack or Abangobi, which was the first one. And then there was the second one, the second season, which was Abangobi.
Okay.
But the guy was just so amazing. I look back today and I say, this guy should be given all the accolades. I mean, I saw a violin for the very first time from the String Quartets. One of the guys who plays with the String Quartets. He came then, he was playing a violin, and we're all laughing at him, saying, oh, he's playing Udlali Katarengan. We didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
So the guy was unleashing talent, from young people in Soweto. And it was one of the ladies at church who said, Yvonne, you must go. Audition. Audition, what is that?
What is that?
And we all converged at Uncle Tom's, and others were reading books, others were doing storytelling, others were playing instruments, and others were singing. And that's how it came about. And when he packaged everything, I think he just had a liking on me because I was the first one to be there. And I know there was another lady, she's in the ANC now, something Malibane. She was also there. I think they were doing some calculations because there was like a math thing as well there. It was just an interesting program. So I think Bennett Joffy did those live shows, what do they call them, reality TV, before it even had a name. And so I want to say thank you to him. What did that mean to me? It meant absolutely nothing, really, because we didn't even have a television at home. But for me, what was good was that I got paid 500 rands.
Oh, in 1981?
Oh, yes.
That was a lot of money then.
I was richer than my mother, man, girl. Gee. With that competition, I got paid 500 rands.
Yeah.
And I really think this man deserves a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
And he is still alive?
I want to think so. I'll try and find him.
Yeah, sure. Because he unleashed, or at least not unleashed, but put you there.
Well, many of us really. I mean, the guys from the String Quartet, Soweto String Quartet, Bosara, and just so many young people there were just given that chance. Unfortunately, it was during apartheid, 1981. There was very little television. Was SABC2. It was playing between 6 and 8.
Yeah.
It was just cartoons. There was nothing. No one was even advertising on those channels. So things have changed now. There's social media.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of things. You could be here and be heard in New York or anywhere through this medium. And so things have changed, and technology is here and it's here to stay, and we have to embrace it.
100%. You know, so what I'm taking away from what you've said in terms of how he and a couple of you were given an opportunity through, I think it was Sugar Shack specifically at the time. What would you, because we're drinking from your well today, you know, me sitting in this chair, I'm here to drink from your well and also for my audience. But acknowledging the fact that also technology is here and things have evolved, how would you say, or what would your words be to someone today who, of course, it's not going to happen, their journey is not going to happen the same way that yours happened, but, and I guess chance happens to everyone at some point in some way or the other. You have to almost be at the right place at the right time. What would your words be when one is given an opportunity or has a moment to shine? What would you say as a word of advice to that person?
Well, I guess everybody is always given a chance to shine. Everybody is given a platform. It's how you use that platform. So, I mean, over the weekend, I was watching the Metro Awards and just seeing those young people, you know, winning these awards. I was quite proud of them. I was very, very happy that, you know, here they're being exposed, their music is being played, and I just wish that the whole popularity can also go with a bank account, you know. Whilst their music is being streamed, that turns into rands and cents as well, because it becomes something different that, you know, these young people are working so hard and they're known, they're traveling, they're everywhere, and then they don't have the money. So I was very, very proud seeing these young people, that they're getting the airplay that they deserve. I mean, Metro is the biggest radio station, you know, in South Africa. And I'm just so grateful that charity begins at home, and they are being played, they are being heard, they are being exposed to everything. So that's how young people shine, and they have to be given that chance. So different people, you know, you watch TV and you see young people, you know, busy flying drones, and you think, wow, this it can be done. I mean, today our young person who's driving us here, you know, with a podcast, it's a young person, and we always thought these are jobs for white people.
Yes.
You know, so different people will shine in different spheres, and it's sometimes we also just tend to categorize people, and people will shine in different things, whether it's in the boardroom, whether it's being, I mean, when you look at television today, people behind the cameras, it's women. Those
So
were,
interesting.
Those were jobs for men.
For men.
So different people will always shine in different spaces for as long as they are given the chance.
Yeah. And I think sometimes the imposter syndrome can kick in. So have you never experienced the imposter syndrome along your journey where you doubted, you knew you had the gifts and you've got the capabilities, but where you maybe shy away, you want to hide under the table or the chair? I know you've gone to performed on international stages, but have you never ever experienced it?
The imposter syndrome is always there. You know, it will always be there. You think, am I worth it? Can I do it? You know, and you know, mistakes are made somewhere, somehow, but, you know, you just break through and say, when you're out there, you want to be given a seat on the table. And it's when you're on the table, what do you do when you're given that seat? You know, I've heard people who say, you know, I was the first one to do this. It's always good to be the first one, but make sure that when you are the first one, you're not the last one.
Yeah.
Bring others with you. And when you, a woman in a very strategic position, how do you bring others, you know, as you rise, how do you lift others? So for me, that has always been something that I think it's the most important, because you can't always want to be the only one, because, as they say, the higher you go, the colder it becomes. So you need other people to cushion you, the other people who will make sure that whatever you have, it's expanded. Because for me, success, it's good when it's shared.
Otherwise, it's lonely. What's the point?
Absolutely. Otherwise, it's very lonely.
Yeah, sure. That's so beautiful and encouraging, actually, especially the fact that you're highlighting that as we as women rise, let's lift others along the journey.
I think it's very important because for me, success, it's when there's 10 people, you know that 8 people are here with me and we are going to navigate through this to make our space a better space and open opportunities for other people. Obviously, as I always, at the back of my mind, I know that you cannot be loved by everybody, you cannot please everybody, you cannot be appreciated by everybody. But those that you learn from and those that you give to, will always make you a better person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Sure. And you've got such a colorful journey, right? So it's been the music, I've seen that there's also philanthropy that you're doing and humanitarian work. And I've seen that now as the Princess of Africa, there is a foundation as well. Can you share maybe a little bit about the foundation and how that's come about as part of one of the things that you're doing?
Well, the Princess of Africa Foundation was established in 2006. Thank you to the then World Bank person, Paul Wolfowitz. He came, it was during the World Economic Forum in South Africa, and he came to launch my foundation. Oh, yes. So I'm grateful to him. And it was, when I started the foundation, I'd already been really traveling.
Okay.
But I've seen, lots of challenges whilst I was doing my work as a UNICEF and Rollback Malaria Goodwill Ambassador. And I wanted to be able to learn, understand, and help where I could. Because sometimes, people who want to help or fund, they will fund you and then they will tell you how to use that money. Whereas for me, it's if you want to help people understand their plight, learn about it, and then ask them, how can I help you?
Sure.
Because people don't need a hand out, they need a hand up.
Ooh.
And so that has always been at the back of my mind. So that's what the Princess of Africa Foundation do. So I'm grateful to the people who've funded my foundation, the Gates Foundation, Results, and lots of other people. And MTN was the very first South African company that funded the foundation.
Yeah.
For me, it was all about malaria at the time when we started, because I'd traveled to Gabon, excuse me, and one of my musicians contracted malaria and passed on.
Oh.
And so that really made me to want to know and learn more about malaria. And once I learned that it was preventable and curable, and yet so many people were dying, and pregnant women were vulnerable, and other children, under the age of 2 were not reaching their 2nd or even their 5th birthday. I wanted to learn more about it to see how we could give malaria a voice. So we've encouraged people to use indoor residual spraying. We've encouraged people to use long-lasting nets, to make sure that they're not bitten by these mosquitoes. And just to clean, their surroundings, to make sure that there are no ponds there around there. And fast forward, the foundation then saw the need of encouraging a young girl to say, whilst I was traveling in different countries, seeing young people being married at an early age, without their concern, but because it's something that our culture allows us to do. But does that young girl even understands that? So just to empower young girls to say we're not here to bash our culture. We love it, we understand it, and we respect it. But there are things that we shouldn't hide behind. You know, things like just human rights, respecting different people no matter who they are. So that's what the Princess of Africa Foundation does. We've also come to realize that in the creative industry, there are those backing vocalists and session musicians who do lots of work to enhance the frontliners, but nobody cares about them. So I've come to realize that there will never be an Yvonne without a guitarist, a backing singer, a drummer. So these are the people we say to them, you're part of the value chain, and somebody has to say, I, as a frontliner, I'm not there without you. So you're part of the value chain, and as such, something needs to be done to say to you, we appreciate you as a backing vocalist and a session musician.
Sure. I think that's such an important thing. And that's incredible that that is something that the foundation also touches on. I would have never actually thought of it. And I guess because it's the industry that you are in, that's why you would be aware. And thank you for sharing that with us, because I think it's oftentimes we're just looking at the main person, but not thinking about, let's call them the support act or the backing vocalist or whatever the whole team. And many a times, you know, time goes by and then one reaches the end of their career, and then you earlier alluded to the rands and cents, and then they are stranded.
Yeah, it's quite challenging. You know, this industry, it's a dog eat another dog industry. Obviously, 1 minute you're up there, 1 minute you're down there, and but somewhere in the middle, you know, you do work hard, you do make money, but it's not everyone who will be able to say, this money will last me. You just don't know. And so it's important to say, when I get this money, how do I make sure that it's well used? You know, because tomorrow may just never cater for itself. So those are the things that the Princess of Africa Foundation tries to do.
Okay.
You know, we also have an online radio station for women called Woman Radio, for women by women with women, where we've got young, very opinionated girls who come. We're not your mainstream radio station, but we talk about all the social ills, and we call it as it is. So that's what the Princess of Africa Foundation is doing. So we've got an app, and we try to talk about things that other mainstream radio stations will not talk about.
Yeah. So there's a big educational piece to it.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, we get professionals to come and talk about different things. We've got two guys. We've got BK and Aaron on our radio station who fully understand that they were born out of a woman.
Yes.
And the respect that is needed. You know, sometimes we take just things for granted. You know, when young girls will drop out of school or don't even go to school because they don't have sanitary pads. How do we change the status quo? You know, when a 14-year-old will be dragged and be married to a 50-year-old, Ugutwala, which is something other people will say it's part of our culture, but is that 14-year-old strong enough to be a
wife and mother,
you know, or a mother? And South Africa is the only country where you can see that things have just gone so down when a grandmother of 90 is being raped. What are we saying? What kind of a community are we? So these are the things we talk about on Woman Radio to say, where did we go wrong? What has happened? What are we not doing right? How do we go back to the drawing board to knowing, you know, when we started this I was talking about my mother being very strict. But my mother would leave us next door with Matlomola and Bujabu to say, look after the kids, I'm going to town. And they will be there to protect us. But today, you can't even leave your child with your brother.
Exactly, even your blood.
You are so scared. And you ask yourself, what has made us so, I don't even know the word, insensitive.
Desensitized.
To take a 3-year-old, rape it. I mean, as a 30-year-old, you take a 3-year-old, you rape it. As a 50-year-old, you think a 13-year-old is fit to be a wife.
It's really alarming. And I'm glad these are some of the topics that you are addressing. So are the boys, because I know it's an online radio station. I'm actually going to, you said there's an app.
Yes, it's called Woman Radio.
Woman Radio. I'm going to download it and listen. And a part of the conversations that are happening there, conversations that are also targeted at our young boys as they're growing, and we need to groom them, because we are saying now in this conversation that it's alarming the rate at which people have become desensitized, particularly with that topic. I know we've got many other social ills, but is that one of the things that the radio station is currently the topics and targeting for?
Well, that's why we have BK and Aaron, because as much as we say we want to empower a girl,
yes,
you can't talk about girls' issues without talking to boys.
Yeah,
You can't talk to boys without boys' issues, without mentioning a girl or a woman in there. So once we fully understand that we all coexist, we need each other, then really I think all these things that are happening will not be happening. Because as much as I fully understand that we have to empower a girl, because men have been there for a long time and women have been so disenfranchised and segregated. Yes, it's a fact. I mean, when you check salaries,
it's real.
a man in whatever CEO position will earn 100,000 rands, and a woman in that very same position will be given 50,000
Half of
rands.
it.
So how exactly? And you ask yourself, we're doing the same choices. We are, we're given this platform. It's an equal platform, but I don't know whether men are heard better, or whether men, maybe men's strategies are better than women. I really don't know. But it just baffles me that why is that so allowed? I mean, even in big companies, you will find a male CEO being paid, more than a female CEO. And these people are doing exactly the same jobs. So when we talk about these issues, we then say, as much as we want to empower a girl, we cannot leave the boy child behind. When we look at the Sustainable Development Goals, it says no one should be left behind.
Yeah.
So it's imperative that when we lift the girl, we don't leave the boy child behind, because it's going to be going to be a vicious cycle.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're highlighting, when you speak about also the gender pay gap, that's it's a global issue. And, I'm glad that we've awakened more and more to it. And I know there's more that can be done. And I'm glad that on platforms such as these, we are talking about it. Would you say, especially with all the things that I know you're an entrepreneur as well, there's a lot that you're doing and I'm so inspired. Being a woman, right? Because one of the things that you highlighted when you were talking about that gender pay gap is you don't know why that's happening. And I think we don't really know why. There can be many different reasons we're putting on the table. But do you think, as a woman, so I'm working in corporate at the moment, oftentimes having to sit in boardrooms as well with men. And I know many other women are also in different spaces that are male dominated. So as a woman who is seeking to be better and to also get better, whether it's in terms of pay or the position, does one need to tone down their femininity? Is it a superpower? Should we embrace more of it? Because we're told sometimes that, or you see it, not even no one is telling you. We start to behave like the men, so that I guess we can get the same kind of opportunities or a seat at the table. But in the industry that you're in and the exposure that you have to the different spaces, how do you see our femininity as women?
You know, I guess in one of my songs, there's a song that's called What is a Woman? Everywhere you go and in everything you see, everything has got an element of femininity. Even men have got that feminine part. But as one of my Professor Boysons will always say, the whole paradigm shift of walk like a man, think like a man, do things like a man, it must go. You know, you need to be, you walk like a woman, do things like a woman, and just work efficiently. And that's what it needs to be done. So sometimes we as women, we try so hard to be what we are not so that we can, you know, fit the status quo. But, you know, as a Henley student, I have seen leadership. Anybody could be a leader. It's how you do it, you know. So there are different kinds of leaders, and we all know that. But it's just the whole environment that will say, you know, Dumi will fit in better there because, you know, her face, she doesn't smile. She's you know, stern, and maybe that's not even who you are. It's how you just get into that boardroom and put your things on the table, you know, and because you're there because of merit, not because you're put there because you are a woman, because that becomes a huge problem as well. You end up being a rubber stamp of everything when somebody says, I've put you in that position. And we as women, we shouldn't allow that. I get invited to sit on different boards, and if it's something I don't understand, I decline. Because what value am I going to add? I'm going to be mquba. I don't know, you know, mquba ngesizulu, ngesilungu. You know, I'm just going to be like part of the rubble.
Yeah.
You need to go there or say, it's something I don't understand, but I'm prepared to learn. You know, you go into the boardroom and you've read your board pack. You understand everything that it's there. So sometimes we're happy to take these positions where we even just happy to collect the check. But what difference do we make? What do we bring into the organization to make it better for all? You know, so really for me, I know so many great male leaders.
Yeah.
And absolutely many great female leaders. And we do not have to compromise and be what you are not and change yourself just to be accepted. Which, you know, that shouldn't happen.
Sure. I love that so much. I think, you know, earlier you spoke about social media, and I think there's a lot that we're exposed to nowadays. There's a lot of noise, I call it, because you'll read something, you listen to something, it'll say, act like this, do that. But when you're not operating from a place of authenticity, it's not sustainable.
Totally not. You know, I think a great leader or an authentic leader is the one that is herself. You know, you come with the knowledge, you listen to others, you work as a collective, you know, because remember, as a leader, you want to work with different people. You want to listen to different people's opinion, you know, because this is a company. This is not just you alone. And obviously, companies have strategies and things like that, and you put that together, and somebody, you know, comes up with a great idea that will take the company forward. But because you don't like that person, you don't even give them a chance to present themselves to you, because maybe there's something that you're hiding, or you don't like that person, or it's personality things as well.
Yeah.
You know, so we cannot lie and say those things do not happen. They do happen even in the boardroom.
Yeah.
You know, but you take what you think it's good for the company and it's going to take the company back forward. And you know, you may not like that person, but if somebody comes with a great idea, I think we need to say, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's take it, let's package it, and let's move with it. So for me, leaders that lead from the front and also work well with others are my kind of leaders. Because sometimes people would think, oh, I'm better than my leader. I can do things better. She or he earns lots of money, but work is done by me.
Yeah.
I think working as a collective, for me, is the most important. But when you're a leader, ultimately, the buck stops with you.
Yeah.
You have to say, all right, Dumelo, you came with this idea. Peter, you came with this idea. So let's put all things together and let's quantify this and let's see if this is going to work. So leaders, which are, for me, the best leaders, it's those that listen. They try other things and they test them and they put them out there to say, okay, guys, let's see if this is working. And if something is not working, a leader would have tried and tested something that we all cooked together and said it's good for the company. Because what is good for the company is good for everybody.
Absolutely. Sure. Wow. That's a powerful one. Earlier you said you're not a leader, and I'm like listening to you now, but you were specifically talking about like in government. But I'm like, oh my God, she is such a leader with all that she's saying, and it's so true. Now, Mama, on the lighter side of things, because I know also we don't have much time, especially now moving off from the topic of leadership, you are a mother and a wife. So, this episode, us recording this as well, drinking from your well, as women, I think we're really gifted and we're given so many, often we're told that we can multitask, which we can do, but we can juggle a lot of hats, which you have done throughout your career and throughout your life. You've done so many things. As I was doing my research, I was like, oh, wow, some of these things I didn't even know. There's a lot. Your role as a mother, how have you, because you've got 4 children.
4 boys.
4 boys. That's even more hectic. Yo, I've got 1 boy and he keeps me busy. Throughout the different endeavors and the things that you say yes to, because I know you shared with me that you're very intentional about the things that you don't just go with the flow. How have you managed to, I guess, still make sure that your role as a mother is fulfilled? And what are some of the ways that you've created a space for yourself to be able to execute on that duty as a mom?
Right from the beginning, I did say there is absolutely no recipe of being a mother or a parent, for that matter, or a wife, or bringing up children. But when you find yourself in that position, I always look back from how I was brought up. And sometimes we overcompensate to our children because you say, I didn't have this, I'm not going to have my children not have that. And I ask myself, though, you brought these children into this world, who do you expect to look after them? So not that you want to give them everything, but you make sure, like, you pave the way for them. You give them a start and, you say, I will try and help where I can. And my children know money doesn't grow on trees, We can't go on holiday 5 times because the Jones are doing that.
Yeah.
We don't know how they live. We don't know where they make their monies from. So just being content with everything that we have and tell your children that, you don't have to live beyond your means as well. So I was very lucky that I had a great support system. My mother-in-law was always there, my mother was always there to help me. My 2 sisters were always there to help me with my kids when I traveled. And there are things that you need to compromise as well. So in my 40 years in the music industry, I've never been on tour.
Really?
No.
In the 40 years?
No, I've never
been on tour. That's an interesting fact.
I've never been on tour. I do not go on tours. it's the choice that I made. So if I go and perform, I go to New York, I do 2-3 performances, and I come back home. And if somebody wants me to come to Atlanta, I do Atlanta. And I mean, when I'm away from home, at least it must be at least 10, 12 days or so. The 3 months, 4 months, going on tour, I've never done it. And it was a choice that I made because I wanted to, as a young person who just got married at the time, I had to choose if I want to grow my family, beef up my marriage, and things. And it's not that that's what my husband wanted. It was a choice that I made. And I'm grateful to God because it worked in my favor. If I go to perform in Kenya, I go to Kenya. If a promoter says, "Oh, you're in Kenya already, come to Tanzania," I say, "No, I come back home."
Yeah.
And we'll start a new booking, go back to Tanzania, do the performances. If a promoter from Uganda saying, "Oh, now that you're in Tanzania, it's like an hour's flight, just come." I don't do that.
Yeah.
I've never done that. And the people that I've worked with, Lisa, David, and Jenny, they fully understand. And they support my decisions. Sometimes I just thought maybe they were hard decisions, but you know what? It's what you want for yourself. And so I made sure that, I try and not bring my children, with a remote control. I wanted to be there for their birthdays. I wanted to be there for them at school when they played rugby or cricket or soccer or anything. And I just wanted to be that present parent. But then your children, they grow, they become their own people.
Their own people.
And that should be allowed. Because as I said, my mother wanted me to be a lawyer. And I tried.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to please her, but it didn't happen. I could have been a hopeless lawyer today or a very poor lawyer. But I think for her, she wanted something good, like every parent. You want good things for your children. So it's just being there for your children, teaching them to wash their hands before they eat, wash their hands when they come out of the bathroom, pray before they go to sleep. But you can't say to them, do that. You need to do it with them.
Yeah.
So that they can see. And even when you're not there, they'll say, "Okay, Mom read a book for me. And now it's easy for me to just take a book and read." Mom tucked me in bed and said, "Let's just pray. Say thank you, Lord, for the day, and thank you for the night, and maybe you'll give us the morning." And so when you do it with them, as they say, monkey see, monkey do.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Sure. Mama, thank you for sharing that with us. This hour has gone by so quickly. I wish we had more time. I'm really yearning for more because there's a lot more questions I wanted to ask, but maybe just the last one. I also saw in celebration of your 60th, you were giving away groceries to 100 families. That is so amazing.
I must say that I've been so grateful, for everything. I've always been this grateful person because I don't take anything for granted because there's 8 billion people in the world, and my mantra is that we are all here for a reason. And we are here not by mistake.
Yeah.
And I want to say that because I know there are women who ended up with children under different circumstances. Don't beat yourself. Don't be upset with yourself. That child may have come through other ways, being abused, being raped, and things like that. I know it's not going to be very easy to look at the child and love them, but they're here for a reason. So they need to be given a chance to live and be themselves.
Yeah.
So, as I said, I've always known that in 2025 I was going to be 60, and I didn't think I would still be alive. And being my 40th anniversary in the music industry, so I wanted to thank everybody who's given me the platform to do the work, and thank God for giving me the life to be able to do His duty. Because I guess every work that we do, we are planted there for a reason.
Yeah.
So when I turned 60 and my 40th anniversary, I thought 60 plus 40 is 100.
Wow.
So I called a couple of retailers and they didn't come back to me. And I thought, ooh, time is running out. And I called Wendy Lucasbull from ShopRite. And I said, Wendy, I'm turning 60. It's my 40th anniversary and 60 plus 40 is 100. Can I have 100 food parcels? And Wendy and ShopRite, wherever you are, I am just so grateful. They heeded my call and those food parcels were given to me. So for me, I as I always said, you can't be everything to everybody. I could not have given 1,000 food parcels. 100 was significant because of the number, 60 years and 40 years, 100. And I went back to Dobsonville, where I grew up and where I was born, to give the 100 groceries to the families. So I wanted it to be a birthday with a significance. And I had other food parcels, which I took to Alexander as well, to a home there. So, yeah, I'm just so grateful. And we've collected about 250 school shoes, which we'll be donating in Limpopo in the next couple of weeks. We'll go to Limpopo. I'm celebrating the whole year.
Oh, yes,
So
you deserve
anybody
it.
who cares to know or cares to help, I am accepting everything. I do not need presents at 60.
Yeah.
But whoever wants to buy me a present, I'm saying to them, give me something that I'll be able to give to somebody and they will appreciate it even better.
Sure.
So when we celebrated my 60th birthday, I asked people not to bring presents, but to bring school shoes. And they did that.
That's incredible.
And so we'll be donating these school shoes to the children. So for the whole year, we'll be celebrating my 60th birthday and my 40th anniversary in the music industry.
Yeah.
And getting all the other artists that were popular during my time, your PJ Powers, Messi Pagelas, Rebecca Malope, and Lina Kama, Chick to Chick, Pumi Maduna, to perform with us, and we could go out there and donate these to underprivileged children. Yeah.
Wonderful. That is such a beautiful thing, because I think we are planted in this world for a reason, as you said. And when you're in a position where you can give back, and as you said, you just always being a grateful person, that is clearly visible through that. But Mama, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you affording me an opportunity to engage with you on the Royal Corner. It's such an honor for me. Like I said, last night I couldn't sleep. But here we are today. And I want to wish you well with all the endeavors that you're partaking in, including the work that you're doing with the foundation as well. And really to say thank you on behalf of the nation as well, with regards to this conversation, as well as the music that you've gifted us with, because I think it's so beautiful. On the way here, I was listening to the different jams, like, thank you, Mr. DJ. And as I'm sitting next to you as well, I'm reflecting on that and just thinking it's so wonderful to have you as this gift in our society and the impact that you're making. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for affording me this opportunity. And to all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. And I think 365 days of the year is supposed to be Mother's Day.
Yes.
And we do love our men, because every woman needs a man and every man needs a woman.
Love that. Thanks, folks, for joining us for today's episode. A very, very special one. As I've said, I feel so honored, and I hope you've been able to take a few nuggets from the conversation and you'll be able to apply a few of them in your own life. Once more, the Royal Corner, you can find it on YouTube and Spotify. And the 4 pillars that the Royal Corner is founded on is purpose, passion, excellence, and overcoming. Till next time.